It's the 8th of October, nearly 7 o'clock, 6:56. Raining all night and high winds. I'm still in bed. Kitty's there. I need to get up. Today I want to start quilting, well, resume quilting this big quilt. It needs to be finished soon. It's been waiting a long time. And today I want to get another few blocks done. As you can see, I've done some, which is probably about 4 blocks, and there are 30 blocks in this Jacob's Ladder quilt. It's a big quilt. I really like it. It's greens. So this theme was green and big cats. It's my big cat quilt. I love novelty prints. I particularly liked this wood print. I think it's a wood print anyway. And I used it as my ladder. So, and the border was particularly beautiful. I bought it as a border fabric. You know, you buy, I think I bought 2 meters of the border fabric of the big cats, and looks like this, and then I just cut it and joined it. There are joins in the borders, just so that it matches up and reaches the right length. But I really love it. I think they're beautiful cats. I have my equipment ready to do my type of quilting. All you need is sticky tape, pearl cottons, and a trusty little needle with a big eye. You can see my needle has a bend in it. I think it must be titanium. I love these Valdanis. These are the 2 recent ones that I've got from Judith. They're beautiful. When she went to the quilt show recently. So my stitches are big stitches. Big stitch quilting. And I really like it. I think this is one of my favorite things to do is hand quilting. I do like machine quilting too, but I should get on with it now, so I'll show you what I do next. I'll tell you what I do next. So I'm going to get the sticky tape and I'm going to do diagonal grids. So you can see I'm doing a diagonal grid in the block, and I'm only going one way, one direction to start with. So I'll do all the blocks in this one direction. There's another one. And another one up there. So I'll do all the quilting in one direction to begin with. Then I'll see how I feel, whether I will go in the other direction. And for the border, I'm thinking I will do a tighter grid. So it could be a grid or it could be straight lines. See how I go with that. It's raining outside and I am procrastinating. Oh, golly. Oh. And daylight savings is here, and it takes a while to get used to. And I am just sitting here in my cozy, crafty corner, looking at the quilt, and thinking, oh golly, it's a big job. Well, it is a big job, isn't it? I love Jacob's Ladder quilts. I thought I'd show you my setup, how I'm going to proceed today. I can hear the rain outside, but I have a nice comfy chair here in the corner and a footstool. And as you know, I quilt in my lap, so I will bundle the quilt up to the block that I can see clearly with the quilt bunch underneath it, but so that I can reach my hands under there so that I can feel the needle coming through the fabrics. And there's not much movement from the seat once I'm sitting. I just jump up and down to get more cottons or rethread the needle. Yeah, I need to move it over here. It's much like spinning. So John's spinning wheel is around there and he needs to do some spinning. But at the moment, he is not. And I have quilts to quilt. This is going to be a quilting episode, friends. I need to fold up the quilt now and put it on the chair next to me and get set up, and we'll carry on. Going to fold the quilt up now. I've collected the quilt and it's all bunched up now in my lap. These are my stitches. I am ready to go. I will refold it slightly. And this is a great big quilt, you know, in my lap. Nothing is impossible, friends. I have a very small table now and I can't quilt on the table. So, and I've always quilted in my lap and I find it really, I don't know, snuggly. Snuggly making a quilt when it's weather for quilting. And yeah, it's just lovely. And the cats are just beautiful, aren't they? Yeah. So a small weather report here. It's raining. It is supposed to be spring. But today is just a nice rainy day. I've put most of the quilt on the footstool and I've laid out the block fairly flatly, the one that I want to work on today, and it's this one. And I'm going to hand quilt the ladder. So that's what I'll be taping up now. I want the ladder to go in the direction to the right-hand corner of the quilt. I have to make really sure that that's the way I want to quilt it, but I'm thinking that's how it is anyway. Really love the ladder fabric. It's particularly beautiful. And I'm thinking they might be blueberries. I could be wrong. But yeah, quilting ladder today. Just going to put the tape on. I've carefully placed the sticky tape on the diagonal of the squares, the ladder. And these are 12-inch blocks, by the way, finished. So 12.5 before with seam allowances, but 12 finished. And I've carefully placed because I wanted to go directly through the corners, the sticky tape on, and to keep it, give it a bit more stability while I'm quilting, I also put flat pins either side of the sticky tape just to, you know, so I don't get folds or pleats in the back. And I can feel the back really well. So, soon be going. I've loaded up 2 of my favourite needles. I use about 1 metre long thread, just so I don't have to rethread all the time. So I've got 2 loaded here with the colour that I'm going to use. I've got my pin cushion, my Matilda's Own scissors, and the sticky tape, and I think I'll do some hand quilting now. I'll just bunch it all up and start. Time to start quilting. Just untangle my threads, my quilting threads. I do have favourite needles. They're not very long, but they are so great for how I quilt. I'm left-handed, so it doesn't make any difference to how the stitches look. So I start off with I go about 1 inch back. I don't do knots. I think this colour works perfectly with this coloured fabric too. And I just take a small double stitch back. And you can see my hand is underneath it, just here. So I have a nice little working area of, I'd say, a 10-inch diameter. And then I just work down. And I love the sound of the cottons going through the fabric. It's just very relaxing. One thing to note, I have super hearing. I can hear a pin drop like in the next room, which could be a good thing, but I can also pick when music is hitting the wrong note or something like that. But I love the sound of threads going through fabric. I also love the sound of knitting, you know, the knitting yarn as it pulls through the loops, and it's so great. And I'm sitting near the window in the morning. I find morning light is the best for me. I don't have any fancy lights or anything, and I think the natural light is perfect for handicrafts. And there is no rush. I mean, I could sit here and just quilt all day. I don't have to go out. Isn't that lovely? So I've come to a point where I've already stitched the triangle. So I'm going to put my needle in and I'm going to go under that and through the middle of the layers and come out just on the other side of the triangle and keep going. It's like tunneling with the needle. I don't want to feel it on the back. It's the thing with a short needle. You have to have a lot of grip. So I'm going to continue on now. I'm so glad you joined me today to do some hand sewing. It's always good to... I love talking about quilting. Quilting is my passion. I mean, I can talk all day about quilts and quilting, and I love going to Judas and talking about quilts. It's so fun. I'm hoping that this will inspire you to get on with your quilts. You've been waiting to make a quilt, or you've got one ready to hand quilt or machine quilt. You just, and it's coming up to winter in the north. Here we're heading to summer, and summer is going to be quite warm this year, I think. But this is really handy the way I do it, because most of the quilt is on the footstool, and just the working area is on my knees and in my lap. And the best thing is I can have a nice grip on the, not in a hoop or on a frame. I had a frame, well, I purchased 2 beautiful frames from America, I think, in the early 80s when I first started making quilts. And I had a long room, so I could set it up and I could sort of swivel my chair right along with the quilts, but it took up so much space, and when we moved I couldn't take it with me, so I gifted it to my daughter, who also likes quilting. I'm not sure if she still likes quilting, but I would imagine. And it was lovely. It was made out of wood and based on an early American type narrow quilting frame, not one of the big ones that you see that are about 12 feet square, like the Amish versions. Yeah, I've always loved quilting. Since the first quilt I ever saw when I was about 8 years old, and my great-grandmother, who was bedridden and in her 90s, she lived with her daughter. We didn't have nursing homes and things like that back then, and she had I think it's called a puff quilt. It was made of all little coloured squares of fabric that she'd collected over the years from clothes and things, and made into a Suffolk puff. That was it. And I just was amazed that somebody could make such a beautiful and warm thing from little scraps of fabric. And yeah, I was hooked from then, I think. Although I didn't start re-quilting until I think I was 17, and I was reading a women's magazine here in Australia. I was probably sick in bed and had nothing else to do, and I love reading magazines, and I came across a hexagon quilt, and it was just the beginning of the rebirth of quilt making, and it was a hexagon, and I bought polished cotton to make it. Oh, it was just so unreal. And I still haven't finished it. It's still 3/4 finished, I would say. So I've gone down the whole length of the tape now, and I'm going to go over to the other side because I've still got a lot of thread left. Up on the other side. And now I'll continue down this side. Take this needle out. Pin out, sorry. The pins are very helpful to stabilize the 3 layers together. It could take me a whole day of just to quilt one block. Depends on how much detail I put into it. I really love quilting with sticky tape. I have tried lots of other methods, like I wasn't keen on the dissolving pen, the blue pen where you wash it and it comes out, but sometimes it reappears on white where you do not want it. And I've tried Taylor's chalk, which I really do like. That's Kitty walking around on the little table where she shouldn't be. That's where a long thread comes in handy too. You don't have to stop and start. And I don't use a thimble because it's not that difficult to push through the layers. For me anyway. It would be handy to have some music, and I can't sing. I'm sorry. I can't sing. I sometimes whistle, but music would be handy, wouldn't it? I don't have the technology to put music with my videos. One day I will learn how to do that, and somebody will teach me how to do it. I've got about 10 of these big Jacob's ladder quilts that I have kept for myself. So you know how it is with your pieces that you just can't gift away. So I make quilts especially for gifting, just as beautiful, but made especially for someone in mind, or a small person in mind. They have a purpose. I find it's the gifting quilts, which are my mitzvah quilts. That's a gift of kindness, and my kindness gift is a quilt, which is like a hug to me. So for every quilt I give, it includes a lot of care and love and kindness that I want to pass on to someone else. And I just love that possibility that it will make someone warm and feel loved. My big quilts, I have a quilt cupboard for quilts. It's a beautiful Chinese cupboard. It's featured in some of my previous videos on quilts, and I bought that mid-90s, I would say, in a second-hand shop. I just love it. I know it's not the quality of the cupboard it's not high-end, but it is so beautiful. It's red, it's Chinese, and has beautiful hinges, and the shape is just lovely too. And I've just kept it and loved it, and it's now my quilt cupboard. Very handy for that. And I keep my knitted scarves in the top, so it has 2 compartments. Originally I bought it for a TV cabinet, but I don't have a TV and never have had a TV in the bedroom, so it's better used as a quilt cupboard. So I only have here to go on the ladder of this one. Then I'll put the tape on this side and do up here. I'll show you the back. It's pretty hard to see the back stitches because it's patterned, but you can see a row of small stitches and no folds, and it's just beautiful. It just feels so beautiful. So I'll do this today and I'll show you at the end, maybe, how far I get, or for the whole month really of Vlogtober, I'm going to continue on with this quilt, my big cat quilt, and we'll see how it goes. And thank you so much for joining me today and for a visit while I sit here and hand quilt. It's just lovely, you know, to know that you like looking at my quilts, and I am so impressed that everybody out there loves quilts too, and hope to inspire you to get quilting. So that's it for me for today, friends, and so glad you came to visit, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, friends. Let me finish this line and then I'll take the tape off. I've done 2 rows. I think it looks neat. You see the stitches are all relatively even. Have to make sure the tape doesn't bubble just at the end, so I hold that with my thumb if I can. And that's the top, so just take a stitch back, go through to the back, and on the back I will just take a little small stitch, go through the loop, and then I will go through the center of the quilt for about 1 inch. Just give it a short tug. Oh, my scissors are magnetized. Take the tape off. Nice quilting.